So, John, you're going to do the opening for us.
Okay, yes.
Thank you.
I stand before you as a church leader, and presently I'm probably the longest serving church leader in Waimate, and probably in the history of Waimate. There's a Bible verse in Jeremiah 29:7, and I'll just give you a quick background. At this time, Israelites have been taken away from the old Israel, and they're in captivity. And they're moaning to God, say, hey, let's go back home. And God sends the prophet Jeremiah and tells them to stop moaning and complaining, but to seek the peace and prosperity for the city which they have been taken to. And he says, as you seek the peace and prosperity, then you will receive peace and prosperity. And I believe that this is the same mandate for churches and for Christians in this town and district. That we're not to rule, we're not to dominate, but we are to seek peace and prosperity for the community by being part of the community and supporting council. In the district's 150 years celebration, aside from the churches holding a very significant combined church service, the leaders of the churches also composed a short prayer of blessing for the community, which I'm going to read. And this prayer has been prayed since that time of the combined, from the 150th, which was that 24 years ago, somewhere there. And it's called the Waimate blessing. And it goes, we bless Waimate, its leaders, that's you, its people and its families with love, harmony, mutual support and encouragement. A proper functioning of order, community and corporate responsibility, with physical, social and spiritual well-being, with right morals, attitudes, respect for authority and lawful behaviour, with safe homes, schools and other nurturing environments, the quest for learning and knowledge and the revelation of truth, with increased productivity, provision and prosperity, with laughter, health, fulfilment and longevity. Lord Jesus, may your grace, your peace and the fullness of your blessing rest on each one, individually and corporately. Amen. And that's what I would like to just pray the blessing of God upon each one of you.
Thank you, John. Okay. We'll list here. So obviously, welcome to all the elected member here to this, our final meeting of this triennium, and also to all the staff welcome along to this final meeting of this council. Also, obviously, this meeting is being live streamed, so be aware that you're all famous, you're on camera, so we are being live streamed. Now it gives me the greatest of pleasure to actually introduce Arlen, who's been, Sharon and I have been co-mentoring Arlen through the Mayor's Task Force for Jobs Tuia program. And I thought it'd be really good for Arlen to come and give us a bit of an update on how he's found the program and as what's come out of it as a result of it. So please, Arlen, come and have a seat, and look forward to you giving us a bit of an update on how you found the program.
Yes. Kia ora koutou katoa, ko Arlen tuku ingoa. At the start of this year, I was selected to be the first rangatahi for Waimate District Council to take on the Tuia kaupapa journey. So through the year, Tuia have sent us to different maraes along the motu to learn how to weave together the many things that make us who we are. So my first wānanga was based in Kirikiriroa, up in Hamilton, where we got to sort of meet the other rangatahi that were on the program, and just hear a lot about how different mātuas, different mātuas contribute to their community. And it was quite eye-opening to hear different kōrero from different mātuas around motu. My second wānanga was based in Rotorua, where we got to pick between the avatar themes. And so there was whenua, earth, water, air, fire, and wairua, which is spirit. I'm such a grounded person, so I picked whenua, which we got to learn sort of the rongoa and what parts of the ngāhere make medicine for us. So that was a lot of knowledge to take in as well. The third wānanga was based on weaving within ourselves. So it's a wānanga that I hold close to my heart. It was a vulnerable wānanga, so it was emotional. There was a lot of kōrero on sort of addiction, suicide, and all of that sort of stuff. So it's something I hold close to myself. The most recent wānanga that I went on was a community-focused wānanga. So we had to go out to the community, help in the community, and sort of help make gardens. There's a nene up in Napier that made a garden for the community that the community could just come in and grab whatever they wanted for free and everything. So we had to dig sort of the garden up, plant more vegetables and everything, and it was just this massive garden. That's sort of my Tuia wānanga. I've taken a lot of knowledge and everything out of it. I'm not really connected to sort of my whakapapa and Māori culture, but going on sort of this journey has sort of opened my eyes more to connect myself with my culture and everything. So it's been an immense privilege to be able to take on the Tuia representative for Waimate district. So I just thank every one of you for letting me take on this privilege. Yeah, kia ora. Thank you.
Thanks, Alan. And it's been great to have, obviously, your first rangatahi that we've sent and that, and the feedback that we've been getting from you obviously has been great and that sort of thing. And you're taking on, I know you're shifting to Nelson shortly.
Yes, yeah. So I've been given a promotion through work, so I'll be heading up to Nelson in a few weeks, actually, November, to take on assistant manager at one of the stores up there. Should be good, yeah. So
you'll be continuing on with your projects and that sort of thing in Nelson?
Yeah. So I was thinking lately that I'll carry on the kaupapa, and it's actually opened my eyes to council as well. And in the future, I do hope to sort of maybe stand for council and give what I can to the community in a way that I can provide. Yeah. So I definitely will be carrying it on. Yeah.
Right. Any questions for Alan at all? Yes, sure.
So it was really, really good to hear your focus points, which of course is youth suicide and substance abuse, and that was this promotion. Is this what you're going to carry on with up in Nelson?
No, so
it's a different field.
Yeah, different field. So I work in retail. I did out of high school. I did want to be a nurse. I did want to go on to do my nursing and everything. So I started my level 4s in pre-health, and then out of that, I went and worked as a healthcare assistant at Lister. So that opened my eyes, and serving for the elderly and doing things that helps others is something that I want to do. So that's, in the future I do want to carry that on and sort of go into my nursing and everything. Yes, good. Yeah.
For that.
So what, I know you talked to Craig and myself about some of the things you wanted to learn for yourself from that as well, and not just about reconnecting with obviously culture, because it's limited in our district, but you talked about sort of trying to learn to come out of yourself and learn some of those leadership qualities to help you with trying to get a promotion and work and stuff. How'd you find that go? Like, even coming here to talk to us today is probably quite outside your comfort zone.
Definitely, yes. The nerves are nerving. But being here now is a privilege to talk to all of you guys. And public speaking isn't really my thing, but being here and doing it has really a big achievement of mine, actually. Yeah. So, yeah, an achievement. Yes.
And is there anything you would say, like, for any younger people in our district, I suppose, what are your takeaways as far as being involved actively in a community, or like you said, you're hoping that'll maybe lead you into politics? Good luck.
Yes, I do hope that in the future it brings more rangatahi in Waimate district to take on this kaupapa journey, because every person will take different things out of something, and yeah, another rangatahi could potentially bring more to the community.
Lisa.
Did you have any luck finding any waterway planting jobs or anything? I know I was looking out for you, but it was just the wrong time of the year.
Yes,
So
yeah, I didn't, no. So I was talking with Dali, which is the head of Waiho, but nothing really came out of that. Yeah,
no, the timing was just probably not the best with the year.
Yeah, from all the weather and everything, it just,
We do have some coming up in Hacker in 2 weeks' time, so I'll let you know the dates
When
and
you're
times.
moving now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's whether I was going to say, I don't know that you're going to be able to squeak it in, but
I'm sure there'll be plenty of projects you'll be able to get
Nelson.
your teeth into in Nelson anyway, because I know you might want to connect with the local Runinga up there and more. There's a lot of the council setting up biodiversity groups and that sort of stuff now, so I'm sure that there'll be opportunities for you to do that, Alan.
and if you're happy to, it might be quite good to connect you with the prefects and that at the high school before you head away.
Yeah.
To have a chat about leadership opportunities, and because it's not just this program, there's a range of other leadership ones that are available that, it'd be good for them to, I suppose, hear from someone their own age-ish about how beneficial taking up opportunities can be.
And as I think Sharon says, there is opportunities for other activities as well, because I know that through the Mayor's Task Force for Jobs, we've placed a few young people through the Spirit of Adventure and Outward Bound courses and that sort of thing. So it's really good to see our young people taking up the opportunity and understanding what the advantages are and that sort of thing. So thank you very much for coming in. And that's been an absolute pleasure over the last nearly 12 months together.
yeah, thank you.
And that, and I'm sure on behalf of us all, wish you well in the career jump up to Nelson and the assistant manager's role. Well done.
Thank you.
And please, when you're back in town, give us a ring, pop in and see us, and that sort of thing. And great to hear you got so much out of the program. It's really exciting.
And do keep considering politics, and if you
Yes.
can actively encourage anyone else, because after 15 years at 48, I should not be the youngest around this table. Keep on that.
Thanks, Alan. Great to see you.
Thank you. I'm just going to pop out now, put a head to work.
Yes, no, that's fine. We understand.
Thanks, Alan.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Alan. Good to see you. Okay, moving on. Apologies, I don't have any, as we're all here. Visitors, we have just Alan, who came, who's conflicts of interest. Council might, if they have any pecuniary interest in any item on the agenda, they must declare the interest and refrain from discussing or voting on the item, and are advised to withdraw from the meeting table. Does anybody have any conflicts? John?
Oh, got a preconceived, no, perceived conflict of interest with the Waimate trade.
Yep.
Or is my wife's
And
position.
and same for Peter as well. Thank you for that. Identification of major and minor items, there's none that I'm aware of. Moving on to the minutes of the 16th of September on page 7. I'll take it as read. Is there any alterations, corrections or discussion?
Yes, please.
Sorry.
An alteration on page 13, item 16.6, which was the climate resilience strategy review. It's got there that I voted against the motion and that Councillor Collins and Councillor Pankhurst abstained from voting. It was actually myself and Councillor Collins that abstained from voting and Councillor Pankhurst that voted against.
Right. Okay.
I'll make that change.
Make that change. Thank you for that, Lisa. Any other comments?
So how does that read now? Sorry.
So it will be that yourself and Councillor Small abstained
Yes.
and Councillor Pankhurst voted against the motion.
Thank you. Thank you.
Happy with that?
Thank you. Yep.
I don't have somebody move the minutes true and correct.
Yeah, I'll move that.
Move Councillor Begg. Second Councillor Stevens, put the motion, all in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against carried. Moving on to Audit and Risk meeting, page 17. Again, I'll take it as read. Is there any alterations, corrections or discussion? If there's not, can I have somebody move the minutes? Move Councillor Kane. Secondly, Councillor Small, put the motion, all in favour say aye. Aye. Against carried. Thank you for that. Moving on to the minutes of the Chief Executive's report. Again, I'll take it as read. I'm sure if there's any questions, we'll be happy to answer them. If not, can I have somebody move the minutes? Move Councillor Kane, I'm happy to second it. Put the motion, all in favour say aye. Aye. Against carried. Thank you for that. Moving on to page 32, the Mural report. Reasonably quiet time at this time of the year, obviously, with the upcoming elections. Happy to answer any questions if anybody has any. All right, I'm happy to move my report. Seconder. Seconder, Councillor Small, put the motion, all in favour say aye. Aye. Against carried. Moving on to the Deputy Mayor's report on page 36. Sharon.
Thank you, I'll take it as read. One thing I will mention is the opening of the new Sanford at Centennial. I went, what on earth are we having an opening for Sanford? And then you see the size of it and she's a monster. It's extraordinary, but the part I wanted to highlight again was the number of community members, businesses and volunteers that had made that project happen. They acknowledged all of them on the day, but some of this stuff wouldn't be happening in our community or our schools, obviously, because the Ministry of Education funding's pretty low, and yeah, the input of the community members and businesses to make that massive project happen was huge, because she's quite an architectural designer. It's pretty impressive. So it was a really good opportunity to hear what was going on at the school, but to also acknowledge the massive work and input of people to make that project happen for the kids. So it was really good. Other than that, it's pretty much business as usual stuff, being the end of the Triennium. So I'm happy to move my report unless someone's got any other questions.
Seconder. Seconder, Councillor Stevens, put the motion, all in favour say aye. Aye. Against carried. And I think as you say, Sharon, it's not just that school project. There's so many projects around the district that are so well supported by the community. I know the heliport was another one behind the fire station, and just always amazes me.
Well, it's a lot of the same people. You know, you were talking your Hayward Engineering and your Ross Headleys and your people that are, you know, I go to Bushtown, I go to all these things, and these same people and small businesses and supporting so much. It's incredible.
It's a very generous community.
I don't know where they find all the time, to be honest.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not funny.
Okay, agenda item 11, the councillors' reports on page 37. So here's your opportunity if you want to highlight. Same thing again, I think it's been pretty quiet. It's a run up to elections coming, but happy for anybody to highlight anything if they wish to. Colin?
Just a question on that webinar, on the navigating economic regulations on the water services. Did you get anything out of that? I must have missed that, obviously.
I think probably Dan, you were on that one.
Oh, I haven't watched that one
You haven't watched that one?
I did.
Yeah.
I was going to say quite a few of us did.
Yeah.
Was it enlightening or not?
I think it was just confirmation of the regulatory platform that's coming forward. There were no real surprises there.
Still quite a few unknowns.
Yeah,
It's pretty much like we do at this stage of any legislative process. There's a whole lot we don't have answers
I
to.
think there was a whole lot of wait and see, particularly around the economic regulator and that sort of stuff, so I guess we'll see how it plays out.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Sandy?
Just to St Andrews Hall Committee meeting, they're reforming as an incorporated society, and their concerns, if they weren't an incorporated society, they would be taken over by council. I said I didn't think that was the case. So, but anyway, they're probably tidier. They've gone down that road. So.
Oh, that's good. Anything else? Does somebody move the council's report? Move Councillor Begg, second Councillor Stevens, put the motion all in favour, say aye. Against, carried. Moving on to 12.1, the Chief Executive's report.
thank you, Mayor Ali. I'll take the report as read unless there's any questions. It's a fairly short report. I've been sort of stapled to my desk a fair bit in the last month or two.
Do you mind me just asking what the meeting with the squash club was about?
So the meeting with the Squash Club was to go back a step. Nicole has been negotiating with the Squash Club to get an agreement between council and the Squash Club. It's something I've been wanting for a number of years. And this time round I had the inaugural meeting which I attended just to broker perhaps some of the larger matters to be brought into the agreement. So Nicole, Dan and I met with the Squash Club, and I believe that agreement is not far off from being signed.
Excellent.
Yep.
Thank you.
Just a meeting, sorry.
Yep.
The Runanga, what's the update with what's happening out there? You had a meeting with them?
Yeah, I did. So, it was quite a nice meeting actually. So I was invited to the bakery to meet with the architect of the new building. And there was, I was quite surprised when I got there. There was a large number from the marae there. So I met with 3 members of the board and introduced to the new executive.
Oh, it's a new executive.
Yes, so I met the new executive and the architect of the development down the end of Queen Street. Took me through the plans, and I was pretty impressed.
So what's going to be there? Can you say?
It's going to be an office.
Yeah.
So it will be their office, but there will be also 2 offices in the, I guess, the first year or so, which will be available to people to lease until such time or if they grow to the extent that they need that extra floor space. But the design looks pretty exciting.
Single story. Sure.
Sorry?
Single story.
Single story. Yeah. But it has the entranceway. There's a story to the entranceway which will be quite exciting. So it faces out sort of at a 45 to the intersection. So as you come into town, you'll actually be looking at the front face of the building, which will be exposed timbers and a bit of a pathway that has a bit of a story inlaid that goes right through the front door and up the back wall, and I think it'll look quite nice for people entering the town.
So the offices are for who?
So it'll be for the Runanga itself, for the council itself, and there'll be 2 spare offices constructed that'll be available for lease. But either way, it's a significant investment in our town.
Is that down the bottom end there?
Yes.
from the discounter where you're coming in, where the building's been pulled down.
Oh, yeah.
Motorcycle shop. Yes.
Oh, yeah. No, I've got you.
Great office, that Challenge Garage.
So that's all that was about, just a
Thank
meet and
you.
greet.
All right, I'll move to executive's report. Second, Councillor Small, put the motion all in favour, say aye. Against, carried. Moving on to the outstanding actions report, just the 2 items. I know that you've written to Fire and Emergency about that appliance and still no reply.
Get to keep the truck.
Yeah,
Well, through you, Mr. Mayor, that I copied Craig into my email. It was very short and blunt.
Didn't work.
No. So maybe it's time to raise it up the organisation a little bit.
Yeah.
They obviously need a truck there though. It gets used, well, I suppose that's not the point, is it? It's got to have a truck there, so you can't sort of remove it really, can you? It's not like you can sell it or anything.
No. So through the mayor, so they get full use of the truck. However, we have a reserve here for which the local ratepayers are paying. And all we're asking for is that the balance of that reserve is paid back to the council, so we can zero out that reserve.
So they have full ownership rights like they do everywhere else.
Yeah.
And it's only, which is what they requested over a year ago. So I'm not entirely sure why they're dragging their feet on it.
So we will chase it up again. Any other questions in relation to the outstanding action reports? If there's not, can I have somebody move that we accept them?
Move.
Move Councillor Pankhurst, seconded Councillor Collins. Put the motion on, favor say aye. It's carried. Thank you for that. Moving on to the Human Resources report. Good morning, Rachel.
Morning, Mr. Mayor, elected members, Chief Executive. I take my report as read, unless anyone has any questions.
I suppose just an update how we're getting on with the pool staff. Are we on track for opening, and if not, why not?
Through Mr. Mayor, the proposal was approved by the Chief Executive yesterday, and we're in the process of getting all the contractual documents out to the team. So we're hopeful that we'll still be on track. That's our expectation, that the pool will open as anticipated on the 28th of October.
So we've got quite a few returning, Rachel?
Yes, all of them except for one.
Oh, great. Oh, very good. And just generally, how's the recruiting going?
It's an interesting market.
An interesting market?
Yes, and at this time of year, a lot of people aren't necessarily looking for works, so a lot of organisations and businesses, and of course people seeking jobs, tend to wrap things up at this time of year. It's normally in the new year that things build up again.
Thanks for that.
So the last time you mentioned, I think we were going out again for the health and safety officer. How did we get on there?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that position, we didn't get very many applicants and we didn't find exactly what we were looking for, so we are re-examining that position currently.
Re-examining or re-advertising?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, we are reviewing the position. When we went out with 20 hours. With the proposal to ring fence the asset group, and with a recent resignation, we have reviewed the vacant position, and we may be pulling some funds from that vacant position to add to a few more hours, so it gets split between main council and the ring fenced asset unit, to see if we can actually attract a larger applicant pool. We do, I think it's fair to say, Dan, that on reflection, in the first 2 to 3 years of the ring fenced water unit, there's going to be a lot of field work in respect to meeting our obligations of workplace health and safety. I think it's just the regulations that are going to come down the.
So will that come out as, oh sorry Stuart, will that come out as sort of a shared position similar to what we've done with the likes of Garrett's position, but it'll be split between the two entities of council per se?
It'll be internal, but
yeah.
Yep, for an explanation, yes.
Because I assume we'd have to do that contractually to keep the ring fencing. That would we have to be on a point 2 and a point 2, or a point 3 and a whatever across their contract between the two entities, or no?
I think we'll be treating it the same as we'll be treating the resolution of all overheads going into the ring-fenced unit, whether it be by that method or another method, but it would have to be disclosed, because we'll have to make those disclosures to the Commerce Commission to make sure it's value for money.
Okay, so you could do it like as a contract for service or something instead. Yeah, okay.
Or an agreement of some form, yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Rachel? If there's not, have somebody move the reports accepted. Move Councillor Begg. Seconded Councillor Small. Put the motion, all in favour say aye. Against, carried. Thank you, Rachel. Moving on to agenda item 16 under general reports. Look at that, perfect timing. which is the reconsideration of the Waimate Together funding. Now, actually, Joe, would you like to come up to the table, because I think we might have a couple of questions. Yeah, Dan, actually, can we get you to come? It's just that it's much clearer on the microphone, Dan.
Get a chair if you like.
Grab this one. Shuffle, yeah, just, yeah.
It looks like, is everyone leaving the table? Like, what's going on? Mass exodus.
Computer's died completely.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do you need a charger, or is it just?
No, I don't know this one.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, sorry.
Sandy, pass me your computer. I'll take it out.
It's just
Hang on.
False alarm?
No.
Excuse me for a
Stick it
minute.
on my desk and plug it in. It's just.
I don't know whether it is. It shouldn't be.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. I'll let you. Oh, thank you.
Righto. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you. Dan, do you want to lead us off?
I'll just take the report as read,
Yeah.
and because obviously there was quite a lot of discussion and initially at the time of the LTP, this just adds a little bit more detail to where we're at the moment. So
Yep,
I'll just
okay.
leave it there if that's okay.
Questions?
Yep, so if you like.
Yep.
So obviously, thank you. Out of session, we've been supplied with some further information that is commercially sensitive. It's why it's not in the agenda around the tender process, etc. So that was good to read through what has happened there. But we did have I had another couple of questions because there was some things mentioned within the report, and obviously probably came up with your conversations with Mayor and CE, but so the rest of us are aware. You talked about some parts of the project that are going to be deferred, and I suppose I'm just wondering what exactly they are, what sort of cost is involved with that, like what has changed from your income expenditure, your projections moving forward. There was mention of some funding opportunities that you've got that need to be, basically contribution needs to be realised for those to happen, and we just don't have that detail in front of me, so I'm wondering if you could expand on some of those things, please.
Yes. Well, I suppose it's like every project. We've got a big goal, but then you've got to look at your budgets and look at how things. So yeah, I suppose with funding, probably with the new government coming in, we had to do it section by section as we came to you with, which ideally isn't ideal because it actually makes it more expensive every time someone has to go away. The contractors keep going. So we got very good, the market was a downturn, so that was a negative, but in a good hand, we got a good tender rate. So we've probably got a 50%. So when you look at the business case, which I think we all read, we are probably half of that of what we've got from a really good tender, from the cost of gravel and all those sort of things. So I think you've got to look at it as a win. But these now contractors are getting more work. Things are changing. So those, each time we do section by section, those costs might go up. So we've got a really good price at the moment. So that's what we're and that's what we can do if the money's released. That's what we can do it for. But give it another 6 months, that might be a different case. So I think you've got to be aware we're a volunteer organisation as well. We work really hard. So there's a lot of volunteer hours go into this. So our committee basically looked at it and go, at the end of the day, our goal is to get a track through to the Waimate Forks. So we've gone, that's our first goal. Our second goal is probably all the nice to haves, the sort of the information signs, toilets, car parks. These are essentials. There's one in town, and there's it's only a 13k track, so it's not, you know, a toilet isn't essential. You can go to town, ride your bike, and then come back again. So yeah, things like toilets at Southern Bush would be nice, or Arno Hall, and we are talking with these guys. But these are all things we can apply individually for certain funds. And also we're working with Section E, the bridge, with NZTA. We've been in conversation, I know the council have as well, so we're working hard with them to get a clip on. And that's looking more promising, but yeah, it's not an essential. Again, people can go across a bridge as is. We've got a new bridge happening, so it's not something that we have to build. It's just probably more of a safety thing and a nice to have if we can do it. But hopefully in another year, and there's lots of people riding the trail that might go, we need a bridge, and NZTA might help that. So, you know, there's all these avenues we're looking at. It's not just you guys. What else? So yeah, the section, obviously we took the section out between Arno Hall and up the hill. I mean, that's something we would do priority. You know, if we got applied for some more funding, like I said in my report, we can go back to the Community Facility Fund. We could apply for that section for that fund, but we've got to spend their money first. So yeah, we're in this chicken and egg thing. You've got to spend money to then go back, and they're more likely to give us a top up than to go back and ask for a massive amount. So that's where we're at. I mean, the committee, you know, my committee advise what they want to spend, and they'll do what they can as they can, you know, when funding comes available. So, you know, it's like how long is a piece of string? It could be 100,000, it could be 200,000, it could be 300,000. You know, we'll keep spending it until it's, you know, with planting, we spend lots on planting, but we'll do that as we can. So, yeah, I don't know whether that's answering your questions, but it's just a case of, yeah, we want to get the track through. Our first goal is to get it through so it's off the road, it's safe, everyone can then enjoy it through those beautiful limestone rocks. I mean, it's going to be amazing. I had one of the Kennett brothers, they're coming down in December to ride the trail. You know, they're amazing advertising for us. You know, if they see it and it goes global, you know, it's going to be incredible. So I think it's just our big aim is to get it through to the Forks, and then we'll keep applying like I'm doing now. I've just got 5,000 this week, you know, from a generous local, you know, so things are coming in all the time. So we're not stopping doing things. It's just we've got to put it into sections by sections again. So, yeah.
So you mentioned here you've taken out a section up the hill.
We're not taking that section. You can actually, the council have kindly put a verge, like widen the verge for us, so they've actually done some work, which is great because they were having to do some work. That's something we do want to do. It's just if the money, you know, that was one section that is not essential, because there's a road there, you can go up and in. So that's when it's sort of worth saying through the limestone, there's no trail, whereas, yeah, that's what we've had to just prioritise again. But with the funding that I'm finding out this week on another lot of funding, so which, if that comes through, that'll be done. So there you go.
Cool. So then for the budget, obviously if we release the 150, what approximate, knowing that costs can change and that, what approximately to get, not your nice to have, so your essentials done, what sort of have you got left? And I think, pretty sure you talked about on the phone about a Mid and South Canterbury grant and what have you. Can you give us just a bit of a update of where that's all at?
Where that's all at. Well, they sort of want to see that, you know, that if you release the funding, and then 75,000, they'll release their funding, and then we've got 32, 40 and 50 that Waimate together's still got. So with all that, we can get through to Section D, so that's what they want to see. Their funding was really for Section C, but we had to put Section D in, and then we asked for 150 and we only got 75. So again, that's where we've had to really budget, you know, not cut a cloth, but just really work on our budget and work hard to get a track through. And a quality track, if you've seen the track, it's pretty amazing. We've had lots of amazing comments from other people outside the district saying what amazing track we've got. So yeah, so that's where we're at. They've got conditions a bit like you going, and I suppose our committee have looked at it, gone, we just want to get, our big goal is to get through to the Forks, and then we can do the nice to house, we can apply for more money to do signage and information boards and seats and benches. a toilet, we could work with Doc and the study, you know, they might come to party and collaborate with us with some funding for that. And then, yeah, we had down a car park, making the Doc car park bigger. Again, if it does get busy and we need it, that's when they might have to come to the party as well. So they might have to help if we suddenly have heaps of cars on the road. So all these things are if buts, you know, we will do, but you know, it's not essential. So yeah.
So I've got that correct. If we make the decision to release the 150 and you get that money released from Mid and South, that will get you through to the Forks.
Yes.
Thank you.
Basics.
Basics, it's the basics. We're going for the basics.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a track.
Yep. Yeah.
We're a track, yeah.
Thank you. That's all I wanted to
Yeah.
hear
Just
in my
want
mind.
to clarify as well.
Clarify that, yes,
Is that
yes.
once, if this money's released, that it will get you through to the
Forks.
Forks.
Because that was part of, obviously, well, you're aware of our resolution, that was our condition, was
Yes.
that the CE could look at releasing that money, and that's what we consulted on, as long as to the Forks that section could be completed. And I understand nice to haves have to come later. We know that with every project, you fundraise some more, and people get more behind things once there's something tangible, open and available to them to use and what have you. So I do congratulate your whole group and all the volunteers and people who have supported the project, because I think it's a terrific project.
Colin.
Oh, just a question, Joe. Yep. There is a track from Waimate now, though, isn't it? You don't have to use that car park out there.
Yeah, no,
So
that's the thing, yeah, you can park in town.
So most people would be riding from Waimate, I would have thought, wouldn't they?
Yeah, and we
Well,
wanted
be a
to start
percentage.
by the Salvation Army there, because there's
Yes.
already, the Waimate Lions have got lovely seating there, you know, there's already a water fountain, there's bins, you know, there's
That's
toilets up the road. We're trying to make that the focal point for people to start. There's lots of car parking already on the street, so yeah. I mean, there'll be people with families might go to Stonbush, you know, if they're Lidleys or something, but more people will go from town. That's the aim.
Oh, no, it seems like a no-brainer to me, is get it done. It's pretty simple, if we got people riding it, that's the start, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is that any other questions for Joe? Again, you know, supported 100%. I think that we just want to be clear that this is going to get to the Forks and that sort of thing. So, as Sharon said, this is what we consulted on, and that was the main, I guess, clarification that we needed.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on to the resolution, we have a resolution on page 47. One, that the Waimate Waio Forks Cycle Trail funding report is received. And two, that the council consider a funding request from Waimate Together.
Go over the next page.
Oh, sorry.
I'm happy to move 1, 2 and 3.
Okay. So it's been moved 1, 2 and 3 from,
Oh, hold on, so no, 1 and
No, it's
Just a clarification, there has to be that, 3
2.
conditions you've specified, don't they?
Sorry, it's just 1 and 2.
One and two.
Just 1 and 2.
It's 1 and 2.
Yeah.
We don't need any new conditions because you've
Already got
gone
those.
through, those are satisfied.
Okay, so it's been moved
1 and 2, right?
1 and 2, yep. Moved Councillor Kane, seconded Councillor Stevens, put the motion, all in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried.
See it Forks.
See you at the Forks, yeah. Brilliant, thank you very much.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you very much.
Very good.
Very good.
Good morning, Shay. We're on 16.2 on page 52. Which is delegation of responsibility for the Chief Executive.
Good morning, Your Worship.
Morning.
Mayor Craig and councillors and Chief Executive and public listening in on the live stream today. So yes, as we've got to the end of your 3-year term, we wanted to just expand a little bit more on the next couple of weeks as we get to the swearing-in ceremony. So this is sort of giving you a little bit more detail, but there is a protocol, which is quite normal across all councils across the country, that we have to give the Chief Executive some powers in an emergency, and it's outlined in the paper, the reasons for that, but also in the Local Government Act, but also just to make sure that it is if there is an elect mayor, it is in conversation and with the elect mayor. So yeah, and I think I'll hand over. I don't know if there's anything Shay wants to add to that commentary. Then we hand it back, and if there are any questions.
Pretty straightforward. Any questions for Noel, Shane?
It's the same process with any council.
Yeah. So we have a recommendation on page 54. I'm happy to move recommendation 1, 2, 3 and 4. Second by Councillor Kay. For the motion, all in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. Thank you for that. Moving on to the next item, which is the community survey.
And again, thank you very much, Your Worship. So as we just received the benchmarking information literally last week, so Shay spent a little bit of time pulling it apart and getting into some more detail and trying to look at trends and information. And part of the conversation I've had previously with you all in regards to how we look at these survey results in the future and how we think about our other performance measures, etc. So it's something that I'll come back to the new council with as we go forward. But I think we'll leave it there because a lot of information, there are some trends. I think there are some fantastic results, and it does show that as a small town, and the reason why we put that extra information in regards to population, your size, the councils that you have been benchmarked against, and so the results I feel are really, really positive. We have had a national trend in regards to the narrative that all councils have suffered from, but even with that in mind, you have come to the top in quite a few different areas. So I think it's a wonderful result of your 3 years and your tenure with and the stewardship of the CE. And so leave it there. Jay's here because he's got some of the deep dive information and has pulled the stats apart, excuse me. So if you want to deep dive into anything, we're going to be able to give you some more info, but we'll hand it to you.
Thanks for that, Nicole. I know Sharon had a couple of questions just in relation to a couple of responses.
Yeah, so I suppose that was my first point. Obviously, surveys can come back with a number of different results depending on the mood, the time of the year, when you've just used a service, when you haven't, you know, a whole range of things. But I always find the comments particularly interesting because that's where they quite often will give us little areas where there's concern and or compliments. And some things that we can look at and maybe look at changing and or finding out what happened. So there was a range of things in amongst there that identified some situations. There was a consenting, there's a range of other things, and I just wondered what opportunity the staff had to have a look at those comments that have come in to identify the situation, what happened there. Is there a learning from it? Is there something we can be doing? Is the information not quite correct that's come through? If it is, what are we doing about it, sort of thing? So that's, I assume, part of your deep dive you've been doing, Shay.
So through the chair, the leadership team have received all of the information here, and it is something we're also going to have some further conversations with over the next while. In regards to some of the commentary, etc., again, it's a rear view mirror, and it is really what has been happening within that 6 months up to this. We do have the senior leadership in the room, so if there are any particular, and we'll highlight them with Shay shortly, they should be able to actually tell you what may have been going on in their area and any reasons for it. And these are, as you say, fantastic learnings as we go forward. So is there any in particular or any pages you want us to have a look at?
Well, I didn't want to point directly to, but for example, there was one who talked about the coming in and receiving a price for consenting and that there was going to be a refund, etc. I don't want some of them, to be honest, by the comments, I can tell who the member of the public is, and it's meant to be anonymous. So I don't want to, but I'm just saying, where there has been things identified, have we had a look at those? And
we are starting to, absolutely. As I said, this is a learning curve for us, and the reason why Shay has pulled it apart. And I'll get him to give you some information, not just on that, but just in general across all of the results. But it is certainly something as a leadership team and with Stuart, we are going to pick apart now and have a look at and really start to use these, not only the survey, but our performance measures to sort of think about where we're putting some time, energy and money if required.
Yeah, well, I think it's potentially a good workshop opportunity for the incoming council as well to sit down and go through some of that commentary and some of the pluses and minuses, because there were some really good results in there, and you know, commend everybody that around the table and further staff on some of the good responses, because yeah, as you say, when it's benchmarked, it's pretty good. Perception of local government isn't flash across the entire country, so the fact that we can rate quite highly is a kudos to everybody. But I certainly think if we can workshop some of these things together as a staff and elected body after elections, whoever's here, I think that will be useful. I also wonder if it's something moving forward, when we do these surveys, whether there's the potential for people to be able to offer to be part of a workshop afterwards, like members of the public. I don't know. I just wonder if it's something worth considering, that, you know, sometimes you'll get someone who's got brings through some commentary that's really, really useful, and they might like the opportunity to speak in person to us, similar to when we have public come in as part of the submission process or what have you, because some of them probably feel like they do this survey, put their heart into giving you some feedback, and then don't really get a response to it or a chance to talk to the elected membership or be questioned on what their thoughts are. So I don't know whether that's something we can look forward, or we council can look at moving forward, of whether there's an opportunity for something like that.
And through the chair, in answer to that, this is actually done by an independent company. It's benchmarked, so there are a set of questions. People are randomly chosen from across the ratepayer base. We don't get to see who those people are, and you know, they're answering anonymously. And it may be something further down where you have a different type of workshop that allows the public, if they want to engage with you directly. So it's a side of this survey. We won't get the details of who's actually answered these surveys, and I think in fairness to that key research, but there could be a different way that we could actually invite or have workshops where the public could come and actually talk to you a little bit more often. But it's something we could work through, and confirming that we do have a session for training for incoming council to actually work on these going forward.
I suppose my point was probably that that the group that does this independently might think about how they do it, because it doesn't have to be anonymous if people don't want their response to be anonymous. And I know it's randomised, that's good, that's the whole point. But yes, I'm not saying from our perspective, I'm saying as a whole, as a survey approach across the local government, it may be that some people don't want to be anonymous and would like to be more actively involved.
And through the chair, we'll ask what the protocol is of how they do that, and if there is that opportunity. So what I might do is hand to Shay to give you a bit of an overview.
Sure, it's just going to make a quick comment, then we'll hand over.
Thank you, Mayor Ali. Perhaps to answer your question a little bit, we can take away from this survey and produce opportunities for those people to meet with elected members going forward. Because I note in some of the feedback is quite obvious. You'll note quite surprisingly that the library was marked down quite low, but we believe that was because it was based on the pop-up library at the event centre.
Okay.
The other remarks, for example, are that the influence of ratepayers over council decision making was also probably one of the lowest ranking numbers. But when you think back to those extensive public opportunities that elected members gave in the awards, of which only 2 or 3 people turned up. So there's opportunity, I think, to turn this a little bit on its head and say, look, if you do want to have some influence, take the opportunity to come and talk to your elected members at these public forums and have a bit more explained to you around local government processes. And we can take the information from this and actually represent the opportunity to have these public engagements and address those concerns. I think there is a good opportunity for that to occur.
I think particularly where we're the ones we're not scoring as highly, to offer the opportunity to say, well, what do you suggest? You know, what are your thoughts around it? What else would you suggest would be useful for us to be doing? But as I say, overwhelmingly, and people might not think so when you see 30% and 40% and 50%, but overwhelmingly when you benchmark it, it is a very, very good report. So.
Just one more comment too that I took away from this. coming back to your initial question, the leadership team has seen it at the same time that you've seen it, so we haven't had time to get together and discuss this, although Shay did frighten me with his Excel spreadsheet, of which I was too scared to dive into, but he'll talk to that in a minute. But the other one that probably is my thought here a little bit, that I found quite interesting as a takeaway from the report was the annual property rates being fair and reasonable. And when you have a look at the rates setting, and this is just an example, it's not an excuse, of the councils, district councils around our size or above and below by about 15 or 20%, we are slightly above average for our annual rates. However, when you have a look at the councils that sit below the annual average rates, I know that a lot of those councils didn't do what we did probably 2 LTPs ago, which is take worst case scenario and start heavily investing in our infrastructure, and they are yet to do it. So when you have a look at these statistics and start sort of benchmarking against other councils, you've really got to sort of understand the individual settings of each district council.
And I would add to that also what services and things are provided. You know, some of our neighbours, for example, do not offer a waste service. That's a substantial part of our rates bill. So
Really a third.
Horses for courses.
But just as an aside.
Yeah. All right, we'll keep moving. Shay.
Thank you very much. I think Nicole hit the nail on the head. If you don't know, my background is partially in statistical analysis. So for the past week, I have been a kid in a candy shop.
There's grit on his face. So anyone's been grit on his face.
He's happy. Yeah. He's happy place.
It's a lot of fun. This is the second research community survey that I've brought to you, and I'm just as excited about this one as I am the last, because I think it has some very positive things to take away. Yes, there is room for growth in certain areas, but overwhelmingly, I'm very happy with these numbers, and I think everyone here should be. They paint a very good picture of Waimate. Just to start, I want to thank Key Research. They've gone again above and beyond in administering this survey. They moved from partially paper to a full online survey, and we had our concerns with that. But they did everything in their power when people had issues to contact them and made sure that they were heard. And so I really want to say thank you to Key Research. They did a great job. About the paper itself, again, 405 responses may not seem like a lot in regards to our population, but it actually hits the nail on the head. It puts us in the 95th percentile for confidence with a margin of error of less than 5%, which is the gold standard for surveys. So you can comfortably look at the responses in this survey and take them as a view of the whole.
Sorry, I just had a question. Like, it didn't seem a lot to me, but compared to other councils, is that similar or pretty good?
I don't have the numbers of what other councils have gotten back in terms of responses. My focus has been on ours so far. Yeah. I can look into that, but what I can tell you is that if we got more responses, we start hitting diminishing returns, and it would tell us we're probably spending too much money or putting too many people into the pool. 405 and those kind of returns that we're getting is what,
sweet spot.
It's the sweet spot. It's perfect.
Okay.
Goldilocks zone. All the political analysts during elections aim for that target as well. So it's a good number.
That's out of, excuse me. So that's out of 5,000.
It's 5,000. The 5,000 people were randomly sampled, and they were sent an invitation.
Oh, they were sent an invitation.
405 responses. But still, fantastic number.
Could I also just ask you, with regard to the ones that were applied with 400, are they more likely to be negative ones, or is there I suppose you could argue that the people who are feeling good about the community will reply in the same way, but is there a trend that sits? I mean,
think the data sort of shows that figure.
I'm going to dig into that here in a second. I can talk to you about some of the inherent context that you need to view community surveys in. And one of those is in governmental core research for core services. You need to think about things like silent satisfaction and the negativity bias, which is what you were talking about. Silent satisfaction means that people don't usually or notice or comment when a service is working as intended. So things like roads, water, waste. When you see a large contingent of neutral voters, you can usually say, okay, well, that service is working as intended. It's not a sign of underperformance. But I'm not telling you to say, look at all of our neutral numbers and say those are positive numbers. What is important is that you, when viewing this, I want you to get past that first page of just the overview where it just says the satisfaction numbers. If you want the whole story of what's going on, where we're doing well and where we have room for improvement, it's important to look at the ratios of satisfied, neutral, and unsatisfied, because that will give you an indication of saying, you know, where are people actually may be unhappy, or where there may be, you know, political things of a political nature that are influencing that, or where there may be opportunities for us to fix issues with our own services. But no, the survey itself is random, but it is targeted to a degree. So we do key research makes sure that there is representation from all the wards. So if there is dissatisfaction, and you can see in some areas there are lower numbers, which I think, considering things that have happened in the last 2 years, you would understand why they've happened. So I wouldn't say that there is an inherent bias for negativity in these surveys, but they do a pretty good job of trying to remove that from the survey results. But I think the numbers are really great, but I can sit here and gush on this for a while, and I've been told to keep it short. The only thing that I really want to highlight is for the second survey in a row, Waimate residents have overwhelmingly stated that their quality of life in the district they're very satisfied or satisfied with it. 84%, with only a 4% dissatisfaction rate, which puts us in, again, for the second survey in a row, we are the top performer in that category. So the national average being 73%, and we're at 85%. It's clear that people who live in Waimate love Waimate. So again, I've got sheets and sheets of numbers. I think I've scared Stuart. So coming back to the questions that you had, Sharon, yes, there is a workshop that's being planned. You're going to have to listen to me for about an hour and a half to talk about these numbers. But you're right, there is some very interesting data and positive data for decision making for our future.
Cool. Thanks for that, Shay.
Can I ask a question, please?
Certainly.
Just one next. Why does it matter whether people are Maori or non-Maori?
Oh, it's just an indication of, it helps us break down demographics.
Because it doesn't make any difference to the service that people get. We're all, just to me it looks like an apartheid thing, Maori, non-Maori, and I'm like, we're all residents, all one people in this community. Why does it matter? We don't have a demographic for Filipinos or Asians or whatever. I just feel like it's kind of unnecessary. I can see where there's a couple of questions where it would be relevant, but for the rest of them, it's not really relevant.
Going through the chair, it is something we'll follow up with key research, because there will be some reason, and again, you're being benchmarked against organisations or other councils across the whole country, where understanding the Maori wards is quite relevant, and because we're being benchmarked, we're all being asked in the very same way, and so I will come back with an answer for you on that one, but I can't believe it's
because it's a generalisation across the country.
Yeah, I think it's a key. That's a key issue. Lisa, it's the fact that we're benchmarked against a whole range of councils. You have to ask the same questions across everybody to get a true indication.
I understand that sort of way. Thank you.
Sandy.
I wasn't really concerned, but there was a wee bit of negativity around the water supply for Periori Makiki ward, yet a lot of that water is supplied by Timaru. Is there any way of, I guess, in future breaking that down? Because we can't do anything about downlands.
I think that will naturally come with the water regulation changes.
Okay.
Because that'll be separated off.
Yep.
And then, and through the chair, the next time you do get this survey, in a couple of years' time, we will be through the other side of the changes, or very much from the water. So you will see a change in some of the questions that I have to ask everybody, and some of the reporting and measurements that come through, because there'll be a separation.
Given though the water's separate but in-house, would that still be included as part of the survey or not?
Don't know yet. Obviously, we've got to wait for the information that comes from the DIA, how we're being expected to structure this, and then really take our cue from the various entities, and obviously through your chief executive, and how, and we're expected to report up. There may be a separation of info, and it comes via the new committee and then gets added to the overall council, because again, we've got to be very careful of that influence, but we may report up, or actually the water entity will come and report up on their own. So again, I can't answer that right now. But
Yeah, I think it's very much going to be a wait and see how that plays out, because like realistically, you're going to have chalk and cheese between different councils as to the way that they deliver water from in-house models to multi-CCOs, and I think it's probably something that you'll see benchmarking coming out of the economic regulator, as much as, and maybe Tomato ROI, as much as ourselves. So we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, and I think in closing, again, I think it's a wonderful result in 2 years in a row, and it was something I coined in the office when I read this, and I keep using it. But you're a very big little town, and it certainly shows it. And yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Thanks for that. Just a couple of comments. The first one is fully support what Sharon says. Listen, to any learnings that we can get out of this, it makes it more, we want to get the best value for money out of it. So fully support anything that we can learn and improve upon as a result of the survey. Listen, we should be celebrating this. This is an outstanding result. Yes, there's areas that we can improve it, as it always is. But when you look through the data and through the graphs, we are constantly better than our peers and that sort of thing in a lot of areas. So I'm looking forward, no doubt we'll have something that will be going out to the public in due course. I did speak to Stu about it. I like the spider graphs for ease of, rather than the column graphs. I believe the spider graphs are at a glance a lot easier to benchmark yourself against other councils and things like that. So hopefully, I know you guys will be working on that in the coming days and weeks and that sort of thing. But yeah, just want to reiterate that we should be reasonably proud that we're doing a pretty good job in comparison to others. And I think you hit the nail on the head when you say we're a big little council. So thanks for all the work. Any other questions before we close this item? If there's not, I'm happy to move the resolution, which is just accepting the Seconded, Councillor Kane, put the motion on in favour, say aye. Aye. Against, carried. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shane. Thanks, Nicole. Yeah. These little happy place. Moving on to item 16.4, which is the end of Triennium Acknowledgements. So I'm just going to say a few words, and then we will, I think we're just going to open the floor up and that. What we're going to do is, as you speak, we're going to ask you to stand so that those that are watching online know who's speaking, rather than just an anonymous voice in the background. So I guess just before I start talking about Peter and Colin, I just want to wish everybody else that's sitting around the table the best of luck with the upcoming elections and that. And what will be, the people will speak, democracy will take over, and some of us will be here and some of us won't. And those that are here, I hope that they enjoy the next 3 years as much as we've enjoyed the past, and that I'm confident that this council is in a very good place moving forward. And that. So, right, now the official bit. So I want to take this opportunity to say a farewell to two of our councillors who are not seeking re-election, to Councillor Peter Collins and Councillor Colin Pankhurst. I'd like to thank you for the service that you have given to our community over the previous years. It has always been an absolute pleasure to have both of you sitting at the table. I have valued your input and the manner in which you have given that to us, and also in the way that you have conducted yourselves. You have both been outstanding elected members, and you have contributed to the decision making and guidance around this table. I know that it's time, it has been difficult role, and compromises have to be made in certain circumstances, and you've made choices for the benefit of the whole of the district, and it has been with the professionalism that you have always supported the majority decisions, even if they were not your first choices. You will leave behind 2 big positions to fill, and I know that the incoming councillors will have big shoes to fill, and also big role models to live up to. I wish you well with any future endeavours that you undertake, or maybe it's just time to sit back and relax and enjoy yourself, and no more missing out on Waimate seasons, Colin. I wish there will be major changes around the council table after the elections, and I believe local government is entering a phase of change that we have never seen before. They will face serious challenges and issues moving forward, and it is my fervent hope that the incoming council has the same ability to work as a cohesive team that you have been part of in the past. You can call time on your elected roles with your heads held high, knowing that you have made contributions to the role that you have been in. I think that you can move on with pride, and I wish you very well for anything that you do in the future. So thank you very much, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure having you around the table, and go and enjoy retirement or whatever the next phase may be. Thanks for that. I'll start with Shannon for a change. We'll go up around the table. Anything you want to say? Yes?
You can, but no, other than to say thank you to everyone around the table and within the staff. No, I'll save any comments for another time. It's about our other gentleman today.
Lisa?
Well, I've written a little bit, so I'll just read it. I have to stand, don't I?
Yes.
How am I going to read while I'm standing?
I'm going to hold it up for you.
No, it's all right. Thanks.
You will look to you.
Okay, so it has truly been a roller coaster ride over the past 3 years, and I certainly hit the ground running from the outset. The Lower Waio ward, particularly the Glenavy area, has faced some of the most public and significant issues affecting our district during this period. The community first endured the stress and uncertainty surrounding the waste energy plant, which placed considerable pressure on local residents and created an unsettling atmosphere for all. Compounding these challenges were the high nitrate levels in the water supply. Despite fear-mongering from outside agencies and ongoing disruptions, the Morven and Glenavy communities have responded admirably with understanding, pragmatism and patience. I'm deeply grateful to everyone who has been affected and to those who reached out with alternative suggestions or ideas. I recognise that accessing water from external tanks has been a considerable hassle for many, and the whole issue a cause for major frustration. It will be awesome to have the new water supply up and running in the near future. In addition to these local matters, we have faced never-ending changes to legislation, some of which are still being developed after 3 years of uncertainty. The system of local government is ever-changing and inherently flawed, keeping councils on the back foot and permitting subtle changes from central government that often reflect broader global ideologies. This system is removing local decision-making from community control, promoting debt, increasing compliance costs for ratepayers, and enabling bureaucracy to grow without delivering meaningful improvements. When I campaigned 3 years ago, my goal was to encourage greater public engagement and to encourage people to push back against loss of local control and changes that weren't good for our community. I have learned that this was rather inspirational and unfortunately not as achievable as I had hoped. But I thank you to all of you who have engaged with us and offered your views, come to meetings and been part of the decisions. I always value your opinions and ideas. I did also emphasise that the little things mattered to most residents, and they still do. Yet often these small but important tasks are overlooked, and most of them are easily achievable. Residents have consistently expressed a desire for simple services, spraying moss on footpaths in rural townships, removal of tree cuttings to reduce fire risk near homes, maintaining good roads, greater scheduled timetables and ensuring clear drains and culverts. They do not wish to pay for ideology or increase bureaucracy. Instead, they want basic services delivered at a fair and reasonable price and in a timely manner. They just want to feel heard and valued. It really is that simple. I'm pleased that Council has tried to improve communications with some progress being made. However, we can still do more. Information is shared via the Notify Me app, social media, print and meetings, but these are only effective if the community engages and Council responds to requests. I will keep pushing for a more accessible, user-friendly website. On a positive note, I'm so pleased that Wears Bridge on Pointesters Road at Studham has finally been repaired and the road reopened, allowing the special area to be enjoyed once again, although I'm not convinced the duck population is as pleased. The Glenavy Reserve has also benefited from retracking and replanting. The initial support from a keen group of locals who shared a vision for the community has resulted in a transformed and beautiful area. Special credit goes to Alan Webb and his small but committed team of volunteers, with support from Grant at the Council, for their tireless efforts to keep the plants alive in challenging conditions. This stands as a good example of how Council and community partnerships can accomplish great things on a local level. A workable temporary solution was reached to accommodate local residents and forestry trucks during harvesting on Broad Gully Road, demonstrating that practical outcomes are possible with goodwill and communication. Looking forward, I hope for clarity and common sense regarding the Resource Management Act and our water delivery services, especially for rural supplies. I hope to see ECAN remodelled into something more useful and efficient, with less red tape and co-governance. While financial relief and rate reductions remain elusive, I will continue to advocate for a share of revenue collected for our district to come back to us. In the meantime, I remain accessible and committed to support our ratepayers and residents, the people that make this community such a great place to live, and especially our rural communities who contribute a lot financially for very little in return. In conclusion, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to everyone at this table for your candid discussions, commitment to our community, and for sharing your insights and expertise. I'm also grateful to the staff for their patience and support in helping me navigate the complexities of local government. Above all, I wish to formally acknowledge and thank the community, as well as all of those who've contacted me and supported me in fulfilling my role as your representative. Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa.
Okay. Let's see if we I want to begin by saying thank you to my colleagues for the work we've done side by side, to our staff for the professionalism and dedication you bring every day, and to the people of the Waimate District for trusting me and get with the privilege of serving for the past 3 years. When I look back, I'm proud of the progress we've made. We've carried out maintenance and improvements on our infrastructure for the betterment of the Waimate District. We've invested in our district entrances and main streets, making them a place we can all feel proud of. These aren't just projects on paper, they're improvements to make daily life better for our residents and help our district grow stronger in the future. It hasn't all been easy. Budgets have been tough, expectations have been high, and decisions are always not straightforward. But as Roosevelt once said, a smooth sea never made a skilled sailor. And yes, that's my American side slipping through, but I think it fits us well. The challenges have tested us, but they've also shaped us into better representatives for our community. This role has reminded me to take no issue is ever too small when it matters to the resident, whether it's a broken footpath, a flooding drain, or a road that needs to be fixed. And often the best ideas don't come from reports, but from casual conversations with people in our community. We've also had moments of sadness. I'd like to acknowledge the passing of our colleague, Tom O'Connor. His thoughtful voice and his service to the district will be remembered with respect. As we wait for the election results, this council is about to change shape. Some faces remain, others will step aside. That's democracy, and it's healthy. What matters most is that the work continues, the projects, the challenges, and the opportunities ahead. So I close, I do so with gratitude for the chance to serve, pride in what we've achieved, and hope for the future of our district. The seas haven't always been smooth, but together we've become stronger sailors. May Waimate continue to thrive, whatever waters lie ahead. Thank you.
First of all, I want to thank you, Craig, and you, Sharon, for your leadership around the table, for your experience and your expertise. It's been a new person on the block. It was certainly a learning curve, a sharp curve to learn. And you just come in with mostly glasses on, and then the reality of local government creeps in and fast. I want to thank you, the rest of my councillors. It's been a real privilege working with you, all for the betterment of our community and district. Even though at times we've had different opinions on several matters, it's been great to see that we have not gone into big conflict or shouting matches, but together we have worked through decisions for our community. And I'm really amazed about how we are all one body, stand for the community, and I hope that the incoming council will do likewise. I want to say, as Rick has just mentioned, Tom, it's kind of sad, just sitting here and not seeing Tom's face at the table. I want to acknowledge Tom for his answers and guidance to my many questions which I had concerning standing orders and other procedural questions. There's been frustration with the council staff being bogged down by central government demands, and at times that where the council we've been talking about how we want Waimate to go, but government is pushing back and making council staff, their times, have been crazy. And likewise with the previous speakers, when they thank the staff for all the input you've given to the council, and I kind of think the way forward is that to remember that we are one team working for our community. Waimate is a great place, and as we've found out in the survey, with the great amount saying Waimate is a great place to live, and together with the community organisation and businesses, we can progress even better. I am concerned that with the increased negativity and attack on local government, let's be sure that local government can do better, and local government has shot itself in the foot in different councils and things like that. But I am concerned that with increased negativity and attack on local government by central government and groups such as the Taxpayers Union and Ratepayers Group, that they will provide central government with the ammunition to remove local councils and replace it with a regional council for the South Island, maybe based off Christchurch. And I believe that this will increase rates, will give less service to our people and less voice for our community. I am so proud of this council that we made a stand about the Glen waste plant that when it was on the fast track, we went back and we pushed for it to get off the fast track. And also getting the new water supply for the Glen district, and also going in-house with our water supply. So I'm really proud. I have enjoyed my term and hopefully will be back on Saturday to be part of a new council serving my community. So I want to thank you all, my colleagues, and Sharon and Craig. Thank you for all your help and for your input into the community.
I'll leave you for last. Sandy, we'll go to Sandy first, and then we'll go to this.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I'd just like to thank all my fellow councillors and the staff and the CE. I think they've done a sterling job. I'd particularly like to acknowledge our retiring councillors and also Tom O'Connor. I'll miss his many robust discussions. And I'd also like to in particular thank Sharon for her services, Deputy Mayor. Being a councillor is pretty frustrating at times. You're quite constrained and you have to work within the rules, and that at times is difficult. I think in general we do that well. Probably moving forward for the next council, concern around input from ratepayers. It's pretty frustrating when we have these community meetings, 4 people turn up and then complain that we haven't talked to them. Maybe one of the things we've got to look at is a move to Facebook and other type arrangements. So just in summing up, thank you very much. I think you've done a great job, and yeah, might see you next year, might not.
Firstly, I'd like to thank you, Mayor Craig, for controlling the ship and keeping good open debate. I'd like to thank the rest of the councillors for putting up with me for the last 6 years. That's a big undertaking in itself. And a big thank you to Caroline for her help and support, for her friendliness and great smile and keeping us together. Thanks, Caroline. It helped me a lot, just the happy face when we come in here. I'm not going to sugarcoat my thoughts. I'm sort of just, as you know me, as a ex-farmer running a business and a councillor, I have found this very frustrating. It's probably lack of democracy and progress that's made me feel frustrated, I suppose. But I suppose that's local body government, and I think it's a New Zealand-wide problem, and I think we need to, as the public, need to address that a bit. I don't think we're listening to our community and understanding their needs enough. We have a lot of very smart, successful businessmen and business people out there, and I think we should be looking at a bit of input from that a bit. But on a positive side, I think the council has succeeded in keeping the debt low, maintaining infrastructure and good repair in the district. I have enjoyed interacting with the people of my ward and the community. That's probably one of the positives. And as a council, there needs to be more efficiency and responsibility decisions. And I think we need to bring that decision making back around this council table. We all know, I think we need change. That's about it. And I wish the incoming council a productive and progressive future. Thank you.
Okay.
Making me last doesn't put the pressure on it.
Yeah, no.
I'm just not supposed to be the highlight. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the very nice thoughts too. You know, it was well spoken, and I'm not convinced that I speak for myself. I deserve all that, but it was flattering. But look, you know, as I'll give you a bit of background. You know, I come from an automotive engineering background, and so. Basically, I didn't have much opportunity to do speeches during my normal trade day. But look, you know, back in 2013, following a few discussions with my friends, I decided to stand for council. I mean, why wouldn't I? You know, 43% in school cert English. And those who sat school cert might know that that's a fail. And with a preference to go fishing rather than read a book, you know. So what could possibly go wrong? Well, as it turned out, the staff were very patient and somehow managed to educate me on a number of council processes and provided an understanding of the financials. Council had low debt levels, and while there was always some fiscal challenges, council largely followed its own steady path. The council agendas were manageable, printed on paper, easy to flick through. They never ran low on battery, and they didn't crash before a meeting. When I stepped away in 2019, I thought that chapter was finished for me. But in 2022, I found myself drawn back again. It wasn't long before the item numbers within the agenda started to grow. While the mandatory work streams continued, local water done well was gathering momentum. We had a library upgrade, changes to the RMA, a fire at the event centre didn't help, and much more was going on. I often found myself wondering how the management and staff were able to keep up. One of the roles I've enjoyed has been sitting on external committees. Most of our local groups are constantly challenged to find sufficient funding to keep going. These organisations play an integral part of our community's well-being. They create a social hub for members and visitors, provide facilities for movies, sporting days or events, and much more. It is of a concern to me that with the projected rate increases and government that believes well-being is no longer important, that many of these groups could potentially be lost. It's about the people. To our Chief Executive, Stuart, and staff, thank you very much for your professionalism. I am sure as a councillor we see only a fraction of what your work stream is. I hear from time to time the challenges you face with sickness and vacancies which are hard to fill, not to mention meeting timelines and keeping elected members in check. I would like to thank Carolyn Reid as our go-to contact. She has always greeted me with a great smile and spends a lot of her time ensuring councillors have what we need. Thank you, Mayor Craig and Councillor Kane, for your dedication to your complementary leadership roles. Between you, I believe you have made an excellent team and provided a stable platform for this council. Craig and Sharon and elected members, whether you're seeking re-election or moving on to new challenges, I wish you all the best for the future. I have appreciated having fellow members as a sounding board. And finally, I received a lot of enjoyment having the odd cup of coffee with a late friend and councillor, Tom O'Connor. Tom always enjoyed a lively conversation. His lived experience was vast, and I will miss our chats. So thank you all very much for this experience.
Yes, thank you, Craig. No, I'd just like to thank you all, because having never been a councillor, but I've sat on many boards, so I know I understand the level of frustration, and it's a fine line between regulatory management and the separation of power between that and elected members is always a tricky path to tread. How I've done it for 35 years, I don't know. Maybe it's just good I'm 140 kilos, I'm not sure. But I just wanted to say thanks, because one of the things I've always said from day one is that the worst thing, or the least performing council, is one that bottlenecks in its decision making, and that's when this table becomes divided. And in my coming up 10 years around this table, I've never seen it. I've seen healthy debate and at times animated debate, but I've never seen an inability for a decision and good judgments to be made. So that goes to you as absolute recognition, because of the level of frustration and the bureaucracy and the entanglement of what seems to be quite a simple solution, and how we can bring that about through the legislative frameworks to be achieved. And I acknowledge everybody. I'm one of the luckiest CEs in the country, I think, with the staff I've got. I acknowledge that frequently. They make me look good, I hope. And having said all of that, I thank you. I thank you all. And I hope to see some familiar faces around the table post Saturday, and good luck. But I know there'll be plenty of coffees and whiskies and beers to be had, I hope. So thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Okay, so moving into public excluded. We have somebody moving public excluded.